same meaning as B'chol Levavcha?
We begin again. Boker Tov Rabotai. We're here on this wonderful Sunday morning. We are learning a book called Ve'arevna by Rabbi Zilberstein. Rabbi Zilberstein says as follows. There's a pasuk in the Torah that says, we serve Hashem with all of our hearts. Ul'ovdo b'chol levavchem. Says the Gemara, how do you serve Hashem with all of your heart? This is a question for Yosef. How do you serve Hashem with all of your heart? Yes. Oh, he got it right there, right on the button, right on the whatever. Yeah, the Gemara says, prayer, tefillah, is a service of the heart. It's not a service of the mouth. People think it's an exercise of the mouth and an exercise of the throat, yeah? It's not. God doesn't need you exercise of your mouth. Baruch Hashem, everything is good. What He wants is an exercise of your heart. You have to serve Hashem with all of your heart. You know, there was a man in Baranovich Yeshiva. He gets a letter, he's drafted into the army. This is going back a long time. And still in the yeshiva, he doesn't know what to do now. His parents, they sent him money. They said, you're going to bribe the Russian officials. You're not going to have to go to the army. He has a stack of money in his hand. He needs to find something called a macher. A macher was that guy who you used to pay. He charged a lot of money. And he had connections. He would get you out of going to the army. But it was very dangerous. Dealer. You can end up in Siberia. You can end up dead, God forbid. Very scary. So still, he's about to go to his macher, and he sees his Rabbi, Rabbi Elchanan Wasserman. He sees Rabbi Elchanan Wasserman, he says, Rabbi Elchanan, I'm thinking of going to a macher to get away from going to the army. What do you think? And Rabbi Elchanan Wasserman said, do you trust your macher? You ever met him? He says, no. How do you know he's trustworthy? How do you know he's not going to rat on you? How do you know, etc.? He says, if you want, I also have a macher. He says, give me the money, and I'll take care of it for you. Yeah? Rabbi, money? Oh, Baruch Hashem. But he was a big tzaddik. Rabbi Elchanan Wasserman, I'll tell you, he was unbelievable tzaddik. He was already in his mid-30s. Yeah, he was already a Gavra Rabba, Gaon. He left his students. He went to learn from the Chafetz Chaim. They said to him, Rabbi, you're already a big rabbi. Why are you leaving? He said, I have to go and learn from the Chafetz Chaim. And he went and he spent a lot of time by the Chafetz Chaim to learn even more. Not I know enough, I could teach enough. No, I want to become even greater. This same rabbi, when the Holocaust broke out, Hashem got him out. The Hashgacha Elyon got him out. He was in the United States, the Holocaust broke out. He finds out the whole yeshiva was captured. Would you go back? No. It's a very tough question.
No, he went back.
Between me and you, he didn't have to go back. He didn't have to. And the rabbi said, I cannot leave my students alone. He went back to the Holocaust, Nazi Germany. Why? I cannot leave my students alone. How many people do you know like this? So let's go back. This rabbi, he says, give me money. I know a good macher, he says. I know a good macher. And 1 week later, this guy gets a letter in the mail. Mr. So-and-so, you have been absolved. You don't have to come to the army. He says, wow, unbelievable. The rabbi has such connections. Unbelievable. He knows a macher. He got me out of going to the army. He came to the rabbi. He said, Rabbi, who's your macher? And how in the world do you have such connections? I'm so happy I listened to you. He says, yeah, you know, my macher is the best. He's the most trustworthy. He never lets me down. He says, okay. Like, how do you have such connections? I would never expect the rabbi to have such connections. He says, in truth, he could be your macher also. He says, what are you talking about? He says, my macher is a kadosh baruch hu. God Almighty is is my macher. He says, I'll tell you something. That day that you came to me, that day you came to me, is that the rabbi said that day that you came, right before you, there was a orphan, a yatomah. She came into my office and she was crying and crying and crying and crying. Why? No mother, no father. She has no money. She doesn't know what to do. He says, so what did I do? I took the money you gave me and I gave them to her. And what did I knew? That in the zechut of this girl, the macher HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take care of your problem. He says, I gave her the money and I made a tefillah, Ribono Shel Olam, in the merit of making this girl happy. May it be your will that he gets out of going to the army. 1 week later, he gets a letter in the mail. You don't have to go to the army. So the point is, you got to have connect. You know, you got to serve Hashem with all of your heart. You got to serve Hashem. You got to serve Hashem with all of your soul. Now, there's a problem. Rabbi Zilberstein